Alright, hello everybody, Chris here with CD2 Wrestling. I do apologize, we are a day behind on uploads due to the holiday and working. Just weren't able to get it until now. But anyway, so today we are doing our Raw review for the 25th of December Raw. The Christmas Raw, of course. Let's get started. So, to start off the show, John Cena comes out, as everybody should have known. Starts a promo talking about the holidays and Christmas things and, Chicago and this and that. And to get interrupted by Elias, who said, he's tired of getting interrupted by everybody. The last, month and a half, he gets interrupted every time he tries to sing a song. So he thought it'd be better to interrupt John Cena. Where John Cena's like, okay, start singing a song, and not even like 6 minutes into the show, we get a CM Punk chant. I mean, being in Chicago, I expect it to happen, just not that quickly. So, it was. I enjoyed the fact that Elias did say something about Punk not going to interrupt him, but we'll see what happens after he says that. So the song, as Elias goes through his song, talks about, how much bad Chicago is, whatever. Cena stops him, and it's like, well, let me start the song again, and hits Cena from behind, and sets up a match, which, they start the match, and it, was pretty boring, I feel like, for the match, just because Cena was, getting beat up from the majority of the match until, like the very end where he mounts his comeback and ends up winning the match. Of course, you can't have John Cena lose. I mean, you can, but it just kind of sucks the fact that the first hour of Raw was commercial free and they spent like more than half of the hour on this match. But I guess though for Elias, he hasn't really been in a whole lot of long matches. They're pretty quick for him, so I guess it ended up working better for him. So after that, we go backstage. Oh, I'm sorry, before we go backstage, we have a video package about Samoa Joe pretty much beating the Shield up, and then we go backstage with Kurt Angle at a Christmas tree. Jason Jordan comes in, says Merry Christmas, Dad, blah 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 blah. A huge just boo from the crowd. Even though it's backstage, it was pretty bad. And then we have Seth Rollins walk in to a very nice pop, and to the point to where, they start bickering, and then Angle's like, well, I'm going to put you in a match tonight for the tag team titles against the Bar. So, we'll see what happens with that. And then right as those two leave, Roman Reigns, who was missing from last week, if everybody remembers, I believe I stated that, comes back and says, doesn't really say much, but, he gets Samoa Joe, and Angle's like, it's going to be a title match. So that's, we'll get back to that later. But yeah, so, and I've noticed though with Reigns, it's not complete boos. It's a mix of boos and cheers, like more than it has been for a while. It was just straight boos, and now it's kind of mixed. So, for everybody who hates him, there's people that like him. So, I believe that was not the first commercial break yet. So we go back to the ring because it's ready. We have Brian Kendrick and Gentleman Jack Gallagher in the ring talking about being better, more entertaining than like anybody else in the cruiserweights, and especially Hideo Itami, which Hideo Itami comes out. It was a pretty good match. It wasn't super short, it wasn't super long. Good offense between the two of them, a lot of back and forth, to where Tommy eventually gets the win by hitting the GTS on Kendrick, and coincidentally breaking his nose and fracturing the orbital bone. I think it was both. I could be wrong. I know the nose was broken, and I think the orbital bone was fractured as well. But I don't think it was specifically I think that just the knee pad wasn't on correctly, and so it just didn't connect very well. So after that, we have a video package about the Women's Royal Rumble match, and talking about everything that happened last week on Monday, and then go backstage with Mickie James, Sasha Banks, and Bayley walking up to the stage, walking, and they get interrupted by Miz Taraj. Miz Taraj does this whole holiday thing for the whole show, and then they, and it sets up back to the ring for Absolution, and the faces, I'm calling the faces so I don't have to say the whole thing, the face rematch from last week, which Absolution ultimately winning the match, putting them over. It's very predictable, that they're, Paige's return, so they're going to put her over, yada yada yada. It was kind of making the faces look really weak right now. Like you have, I mean, it's not like these guys really suck. It's just, they're just booking them to look very weak. And then after that, we go backstage again to talk to Samoa Joe, talking about taking the Shield out, and and how he's Samoa Joe. And then that's the first commercial break of the night. Right after that, so when we come back, we have Kane versus Heath Slater, which is the start of Rhino's plan to get Heath Slater to toughen up, as what was said last week again with Kurt Angle. It was pretty fast, but it was funny, just having Heath Slater run, get out of the ring a couple times, and then ultimately, get choke slammed and lose. But it was entertaining to say the least, because then once Rhino, checks up on Slater, Kane comes back, and they go back real quick at it one another, and then ultimately gets choke slammed as well with Rhino. So it wasn't super surprising. That it'd be more surprising if Heath Slater somehow won against Kane, but wasn't expecting that to happen. So this one's probably the most ridiculous match in everything that happened, just because it was Kurt Hawkins, and he has an open challenge to beat his winless streak of like 146 losses, I think it was. And then, of course, Finn Balor comes out, which you guys saw if you guys watched it. Hawkins was not super happy about that, but what are you gonna do? And then, it was really, really fast. There was really no whole, not super surprising. Hawkins gets a couple near falls, and then, it gets Balor set up, the sling blade and the coup de grace. Hawkins' winless streak still continues, so let's hope that he has a better 2018. Commercial break, and then we go backstage with the Miz Taraj. They're singing Mizmas Christmas carols to Goldust. Gives them a DVD, and then they give the DVD to Titus O'Neil, and kind of goes, I don't know, it was just, mainly the Miz Taraj is doing stuff for Christmas, really. And you just have these other people there. That flows into a Bray Wyatt promo that talks about how much he doesn't like Christmas because of pagan things, and Sister Abigail didn't like it either because of that, and blah, 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 blah. And sets up that he's here. We haven't seen Bray Wyatt in the ring in, I think, like close to a month after he beat Matt Hardy. And so he does, he walks, and then, he gets in the ring, blows his lantern out, and gets attacked by none other than Woken Matt Hardy, which, they just beat each other up. Bray Wyatt gets out of the ring. As he's walking up the ramp, Matt Hardy does his delete chance, and then starts laughing like he does as Woken Matt Hardy, and then that's it. That's all we got between the two of them. So hopefully we get a match soon, because this is a nice build. I feel like this is a nice build for this match. Hopefully, after that we go to the locker room with the Bar with Sheamus and Cesaro. They give each other the WWE action figures or whatever. The three of them or whatever. While this is going on, the crowd still is chanting Hardy. Hardy, Hardy. So it's just, the Chicago crowd is definitely an interesting one. So, It's another segment backstage. After that, or before, so after that segment, they go back to the ring where they start setting up a Miracle on 34th Street fight with the Cruiserweight division. And then we come back to, it's a 6-man tag team match with the faces of Akira Tozawa, Mustafa Ali, and Cedric Alexander, with the heels of the Zo Train being Enzo, Drew Gulak, and Ari Daivari. Alexander ended up getting the pinfall. It was a gimmick match for the holidays, so you just had stuff. We didn't really see a whole lot of it. Then most of it, I guess, during the commercial break. But what we got to see, was a couple kendo sticks, a couple like cookie trays, hitting people, and that was really it. We didn't really get to see a whole lot of it. But what are you gonna do when you're at home? So after that, we come back to Enzo walking backstage and was like, "How did we lose?" Blah blah blah. Runs to Nia Jax, of course. They start talking, and they, camera pans up, and what is, mistletoe. So they're gonna kiss, but of course there's an interruption. But it's not any of the cruiserweights. It's actually Alexa Bliss interrupts them, which is I thought was funny. It was quite it was different, because every other time we've seen it was been the Zo Train interrupting them. So to see somebody else interrupt them is kind of nice. So where did it go over here? Okay, sorry. After that, we get our Intercontinental title match with Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns, which right after the bell rang, we just pretty much had just them beating the crap out of one another. To where Reigns gets disqualified because he hits the ref or whatever, and just keeps beating the crap out of Joe. Hits him with the steel steps a few times, and it wasn't a bad match. It was relatively quick. It seems to be setting up a long feud with those two. So we'll see what happens with that. Then we go backstage with Rollins and Jordan talking about pretty much just like differences in how Jordan's much better than Ambrose, and and blah blah blah. Just kind of silly with what Jordan was saying, but what are you gonna do? So after that, we get the Miz Taraj in a Secret Santa match, which was pretty much, they were like, well, we don't know who we're gonna face, and ended up being Braun Strowman, which we should have known. Braun Strowman just destroyed Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel. There's no surprise, like, you just massacred them pretty much, and putting them over just because it's, they got to set up to show these guys are big monsters against the Beast. So we come back after a commercial break with Alexa Bliss talking about how 2017 was her year, how she started off as SmackDown Women's Champion, came to Raw, became Raw Women's Champion, and, talks about how amazing it is to have the Royal Rumble match for the women, and how she's going to be ready for them, and yada yada yada. Gets interrupted by Asuka, where Asuka's like, I'm putting myself in the match, kicks her in the head, and that's pretty much it. It's not like, I wasn't surprised when Asuka came out and was like, I'll put myself in the match. I can't imagine Asuka not winning the Royal Rumble match. She's still undefeated, coming from NXT. She, as long as she's been in WWE, she's been undefeated. So, you're gonna have that continue, I can imagine. So, for the main event, we have the Tag Team Championship match between Seth Rollins, Jason Jordan versus The Bar. Another unlikely duo with Rollins and Jordan, who end up winning. They actually win the titles. Wasn't a bad match. It was, kind of reminiscent of just kind of the last couple of times Jordan and Rollins have teamed together, where Rollins is pretty much, spends most of the time in the ring, and then Jordan's in there really, really quickly for certain things, and um, you know, it wasn't. I wasn't super surprised. Well, I mean, I was surprised that they won. It just wasn't super impressive, which is sad because Rollins is a great worker. Um, yeah, so that was the show. To kind of go over it again, I wasn't super bad, a bit predictable. I feel like the first hour could have been used so much better. We got, I think, like 2 matches in it. The first hour commercial free, could have been used, I think, much better than half of it with John Cena and Elias. I understand that they got to do, a lot of times they do commercial breaks so they can get the ring changed. They got to change the canvas and stuff. I understand that, but I think they could have utilized it better. Hideo Tommy, I like him, but it's him being like, oh, you gotta respect me, It just seems overused. I feel like it's been used way too many times, but I can't imagine him being too much longer before he has a title opportunity. I think it's going to be against Enzo. I don't think Alexander's going to win next week, but I guess we'll have to wait and see, of course, as I say that many times. For the women's division stuff that happened, very predictable. Absolution winning, putting them over, Alexa Bliss talking about, I'm ready for whoever's going to come, and Asuka saying, I'm going to be in it. Like I said before, I don't think Asuka's not going to, I can't imagine Asuka not winning just because of how over she is. Not really over this how strong she's supposed to look in terms of being undefeated for 3 years now. And then, Kurt Hawkins actually had a televised match, even though he still lost, he's super, super big jobber right now. So, we'll just hope maybe he'll get a win next year. I don't know many people that can continue a gimmick of not winning. It's kind of funny, kind of silly. Kane and Strowman winning, not surprising, just because, they gotta look big and strong and like monsters for Brock Lesnar. I think the most surprising thing the entire night was just Rollins and Jason Jordan winning. Whether or not they keep the titles next week or leading up to the Rumble, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, so there's that. So if you guys enjoyed the podcast / video, do me a favor, hit the like button if you're on YouTube. Follow me on YouTube, Twitter, SoundCloud. I appreciate you guys checking the video. Next week we're going to be back to our regular schedule, back on Monday night, Tuesday morning for the uploads. So follow me on Twitter at Dzeroth. I forgot to mention that, at Dzeroth. And I'll catch you guys next time.